Imagine walking into what you think is a casual after-work hangout, only to realize you've been trapped in a 2-hour church service, surrounded by 100 singing parishioners, as divine revenge for a prank you thought you got away with. That's exactly what happened to one overconfident train engineer who thought his dirty joke would stay funny forever. Spoiler alert, it didn't. If you've ever worked with a prankster who just didn't know when to stop, this story is for you. Hit that like button, subscribe, and get ready for one of the most righteous revenge stories you'll ever hear. Because sometimes karma wears a tie. Our story takes place in the humming, steel-scented world of locomotive engineers, the people who literally keep trains on track. It's an old story that's been told around the depot for decades, about two men who couldn't have been more different. First, there was East, the kind of guy who made every workplace both louder and weirder. He was a prankster. Crude jokes, fart machines, and a laugh that bounced off metal walls. If there was chaos, East was usually holding the match. He wasn't mean-spirited, exactly, but he loved attention. He'd moon passengers while driving past a platform. He once dropped too many fart capsules at the office. The place smelled like a sewage plant for days. Everyone groaned, but East would just slap his knee and laugh like a kid who'd gotten away with something. Then there was M.O., where East was chaos and Mo was order. Always punctual, always pressed, always polite. The kind of man who wore a tie even in summer. The kind who cleaned his boots before going home. He spoke softly, thought before he talked, and treated everyone, even East, with respect. But beneath that calm demeanor was a man of deep principle. M.O. wasn't judgmental, but he had boundaries. Faith mattered to him. Decency mattered. And East didn't exactly specialize in decency. Still, they worked together for years, the odd couple of the rail yard. One afternoon, while the guys were sitting around the break room swapping stories, M.O. mentioned something that, in hindsight, sealed East's fate. He said that every day after work, his wife would take his backpack when he got home, unpack his lunchbox, fold his overalls, set everything for the next day, while Mo washed up. It was just a sweet domestic routine. Nothing special. But to East, that was opportunity. He grinned that mischievous grin, the one everyone at work had learned to dread, and said, "Oh, so she checks your bag every night, huh?" M.O. just nodded, not suspecting a thing. That night, East came prepared. He slipped 2 glossy adult magazines right into Mo's backpack, chuckling to himself like he'd just pulled off the century's best prank. He imagined Mo's wife's face, the shock, the awkward explanations, the sweet, sweet embarrassment. To East, it was perfectly harmless fun. Just another story to tell at lunch next week. But here's the thing. M.O. never said a word. The next day, nothing. The next week, still nothing. East waited, half nervous, half excited. Maybe M.O. was too embarrassed. Maybe he'd get a scolding from the boss once M.O. complained. But silence. 2 weeks went by. Then 3. By then, East figured it had gone nowhere. Maybe Mo's wife hadn't even found the magazines. Maybe she'd just tossed them aside and forgotten. So East shrugged and moved on. His prank life continued as usual, until one day, the phone rang. "You should come by." It was M.O. "Hey, East," he said warmly. "I'm having a few people from work over this Saturday. Just a casual evening. Some beers, good company. You should come by." East grinned. Finally, a chance to hang out off the clock, and maybe, just maybe, laugh about the prank that had been silently brewing for weeks. Saturday came, and East showed up, 6-pack in hand, big smile on his face. Mo's home was exactly what you'd expect. Tidy, modest, filled with the kind of gentle warmth that made you take off your shoes at the door without being asked. Mo's wife greeted him with a smile, polite, genuine, no hint of anything wrong. If she did find the magazines, she sure wasn't showing it. M.O. took the beer, thanked him kindly, and said, "Come on in, everyone's in the living room." East followed, expecting to hear laughter, maybe the hiss of open bottles. Instead, he walked into a hymn. There, in Mo's living room, was an entire church congregation, rows of chairs, hymn books, a priest standing up front in a white robe. and at least 30 people, all turning toward East as Mo cheerfully announced, "Everyone, this is my good friend East. He's joining us today." East froze. The six-pack in his hand suddenly felt like it weighed 100 pounds. Someone gently took it from him, probably Mo's wife, and before he could even protest, a smiling woman handed him a hymn book. "Would you like to sit near the front?" she asked kindly. Mo nodded behind her. "Yes, that would be wonderful." East swallowed. Hard. He sat, right in the front row. The service began. 2 full hours of psalms, prayers, and sermons, all about purity, forgiveness, and resisting temptation. He tried to blend in, mouthing words to songs he didn't know, nodding solemnly at phrases he didn't understand. But every time he glanced back, he saw Mo sitting near the back, calm, composed, eyes twinkling just slightly. East's internal monologue must have been chaos. "Oh, God, literally, what have I walked into? Do they know? Does everyone know? Please don't let anyone ask me to speak." When the priest invited everyone to close their eyes and pray, East peeked and caught Mo looking straight at him. Not angry, not smug, just peaceful. That was the moment it clicked. This was no coincidence. This was revenge. When the service finally ended, East was spiritually and emotionally exhausted. He stood, trying to smile as people shook his hand. "Lovely to meet you," they said. "So glad you could join us." He mumbled thanks, cheeks burning, ears ringing. At the door, Mo walked him out. They shook hands. "Thanks for coming, East. It really meant a lot." No mention of the magazines. No mention of the prank. Not even a glance toward the untouched six-pack still sitting on the counter. East nodded, muttered a quiet, "Yes, sure," and walked his car in total silence. And from that day on, he never pranked a Mo again. Ever. The beauty of Mo's revenge wasn't in cruelty. It was in grace. He didn't yell. He didn't embarrass East in public. He simply gave him a taste of his own medicine, discomfort, spotlight, and all, but dressed in righteousness. It was a kind of revenge that left no mess, no guilt, just the quiet satisfaction of knowing that the lesson had landed exactly where it needed to. And the best part? East had to sit through 2 hours of holy reflection for planting a couple of dirty magazines. A perfect balance. A perfect irony. Pure, poetic justice. Sometimes revenge doesn't need to be loud. It doesn't need yelling or payback in kind. Sometimes the sweetest revenge is peace wrapped in patience, and just enough irony to make the universe laugh. If that story gave you chills, or maybe a few guilty laughs, hit like, subscribe, and tell us in the comments, what's the most satisfying act of karma you've ever seen play out? Because remember, some lessons don't need words, just a 2-hour church service.